So over the weekend we got a bunch of information about Marathon, the latest game to come out of Bungie since they've been acquired by Sony. Now, it's fair to say I absolutely love Bungie games. Halo is easily one of my favourite franchises ever, especially that Bungie era, and despite them definitely not being perfect games, I really enjoyed Destiny 1 and 2. However, when it came to the reveals we got for Marathon, I am genuinely in shock. This game looks absolutely tragic. So the game itself is a first-person extraction shooter designed to be played in teams of 3, because apparently 4-man squads are not the rage anymore. And the gameplay itself will consist of 6 of these 3-man teams dropping into an area, looting up, fighting each other, and essentially leaving. But if you die, you lose all your stuff, no questions, no ifs or buts, it's over, you have to start it again. And I will just say, as an actual positive of this from what we've seen so far, the gunplay itself does look very solid in this. Now, Bungie games have always been very good with combat, but this is no exception, and that's a good thing. It's a shame that everything else about it looks absolutely shit. I think the biggest and most immediate thing that needs to be addressed is the art style. Now, I know that there's going to be a lot of people that really like it, but to me, it looks crazy. It just looks bad. Like, they're clearly angling for like this weird sort of pixelated neon futurescape thing, and as I've said, some people are going to really love that. I think it looks arse. Like, the game is obviously an alpha, and games don't look as polished as what they should do at that stage compared to when they released them. But it feels as if this art style has been chosen to almost camouflage the fact that the game itself doesn't look very good, and maybe it's a way of Bungie almost cutting corners, saying like, oh, well, the game's designed to look like this. I just think that's a complete cop-out. To me, I don't see any reason why you can't present things in sort of a retro or a specific sort of even 8-bit way. I know it's not 8-bit, but you get what I'm saying with the pixelation. But they can still look absolutely amazing. This, however, looks like it should run on a fucking 3DS. Like, it just doesn't look good to me. Moving away from the visuals for a second, this game has also sort of announced that it will not include any form of single-player campaign. So there's no actual physical story attached to a game that you have to buy, by the way. Like, this is going to cost probably 40-50 quid to buy, and there's nothing even there in terms of just a single-player experience. Now, to me, that's, again, just absolutely crazy. Bungie is known for creating incredible storylines and world-building experiences. Like, all of their games have such vastly rich lores. Like, I'll be honest, I don't like how they did it in Destiny, where you had the story basically being told to you in the form of little notes and tidbits of information that you had to go figure out, and it almost became like a fan-made thing as to what was real and what wasn't. But when you look at Halo, for example, they built such an incredible world that everyone delved into and then created their own stories within. When you don't present the narrative in a clear way, to me, you're almost giving your players homework and saying like, oh, you want a story? You go figure it out type deal, which just seems like a mistake. Again, as I've mentioned, you're going to have to pay for this game. What are you actually paying for when all the competitors that make extraction shooters do all of this shit for free? And to me, what's even worse is the fact that Marathon itself, it's not exactly an original IP. Like, this is based off of something that Bungie made years ago and has such a rich vein of lore and storytelling behind it. Like, I'm definitely not an expert in my understanding of the OG Marathon stuff, but it had some incredible story beats. Like, you had like a Covenant-esque alien race, you had storylines about AI rampancy, you had basically all of the preludes and building blocks to what would be further developed into the Halo franchise. But could you imagine if Halo's story was locked behind just terminals, for example, and it wasn't actually presented in a clear and viewable narrative? Or they only presented it to you like in chunks every season, like every 3 months. Like, it's just stupid. And not only is there just no resemblance to the actual story of the original Marathon, but again, back on the visuals, this looks nothing like Marathon. I know we are going back like the best part of 25 years, but you can look at Halo Combat Evolved and Halo Infinite and recognise that they're Halo games. To me, this looks nothing like its source material. It's just a generic as fuck extraction shooter. There's been no aliens revealed, no creatures, you've just got sort of the robots at the minute, and my main fear is that they will release this stuff and release a lot of the narrative stuff and all of the different elements that made Marathon so great way too late into the development cycle of this game, and you'll have like Season 7 where you'll get the 4 introduced into this game, and at that point, no one's going to give a shit. And speaking of not giving a shit, I think that really summarises how I feel about that cinematic short that they released. Like, what the fuck was that? I've never seen a trailer try so hard to be edgy and unique and artsy, and just come across as really fucking weird. I don't know why, it kind of gave me like Squid Games vibes, like with the vibrancy and sort of the creepy sort of operatic music in the background. It's not interesting, like I can understand why people would be intrigued by it, but to me, I just felt like it was trying so hard to be like different, but in reality, this looks like one of the most generic things I've seen in quite a long time. So outside of the gameplay trailer and reveal that Marathon released directly, they did also release footage of closed alpha gameplay which a lot of content creators went to actually participate in. Now, I'm not doubting the credibility of all of these creators, however, from what I've seen, it has seen significantly positive reviews across the board compared to the general consensus of people that I've seen online. Don't get me wrong, there are outliers, some people have given it legitimate criticism and said what they don't like about it, but to me, it's hard to not feel like Bungie have just slipped them a few quid and said, oh yeah, make sure you review this kinda favourably. Now, other elements of the game that I've noticed just by doing a bit of research is the fact that supposedly on launch there are going to be 6 different playable characters and 3 separate maps. Now, this is only at launch and they'll obviously add more throughout the game's life cycle, but to me, 6 characters and 3 maps for a game you're going to pay for? That is crazy. Like, what content is that? Marvel Rivals released with like fucking 30 characters or something, all of which were free, and from what I understand, these 6 different characters which all have sort of various separate abilities, it almost feels like a little bit of a hero shooter. I know it's not, and they've made it quite clear that it's not a hero shooter, but it just screams like Apex Legends vibes to me, where everyone's going to have their own little set ability, one's going to be busted, and it's just going to ruin the flow of the game itself. There is also little to no customization available for these characters, and honestly, when you think about Bungie, that just seems like a complete betrayal upon everything they built themselves upon with their other games. Think about how many ways you could customize your Guardian or your Spartan back in Halo and Destiny. Like, there was nothing more fun than that in some regards, genuinely. Now, of course, there will be customization made available to you later on, however, it's just going to be in the form of skins and microtransactions and all of these horrible things that just live within gaming nowadays. You can't just sit there and actually customize the main character of the video game that you're playing as without spending another 15 quid on a skin to make them fucking neon pink. And when you're already charging 40 to 50 quid for the main title of the game itself, and you don't even have core features that have been in games for fucking decades before this, it is just a joke. Another thing which I really can't understand about this game is the fact that the game itself isn't recommended to be played in trios as a team of 3, but it has to be played as a team of 3. If not, there is just significant detriment to you in the game because you're always going to come up against a team of 3, never any more or less. There isn't like a solo mode or duo mode. Why? Why isn't there? It doesn't make sense to me. So you've got to expect to have 2 other people who are A, dumb enough to buy this game, but B, committed enough to continue playing it to actually get any enjoyment out of it on a game you've spent 40 to 50 quid on? Fuck off, Bungie. Not to mention, if you are committed enough to play this game and sink time into it, you'll be really pleased to know that every 3 months, your entire loot pool gets wiped. I'm not kidding, which... it's fucking crazy to me. I get like oh, we want to keep it fresh and get new players in, but even if the stuff is just crap, like you make it so that like the old stuff that you've collected back on like day 1 is just rubbish and not usable anymore, you shouldn't get rid of it. Just make it so it's not usable if you're worried about that, but actually wiping the historic elements of someone's game. It'd be like earning all of the achievements in a game and them saying, oh, well, the game is out of date now and people aren't playing it, so the achievements don't count. It's fucking stupid. I can't fathom how dumb that is. But what do you guys think? Have you guys seen the new Marathon gameplay and the trailers and all the reveal stuff? Are you guys excited? Are you guys incredibly negative and apprehensive about it like myself? For the record, I really hope I'm wrong and I hope that this game is actually amazing and I'll eat the biggest bit of humble pie in the world. But to me, this looks like it needs at least like 18 months more dev time minimum. And even then, some of the decisions they've made off the bat seem absolutely clueless to me. But anyway, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and if you are new here and you haven't already, please do consider subscribing if you've enjoyed this video. Thanks ever so much for watching, I hope you see you in another video sometime soon.